Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us for primary election night 2020. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, a big night that sets the table for the 2020 political season and the November 3rd election. Montana voters turn out in record numbers for the state's first all-male primary election, and those numbers keep growing tonight as more voters drop off their ballots to be counted. Well, tonight we have team coverage across Montana, but with a much different look and feel. No banners, no rallies, and no watch parties as Montana voters push their top candidates forward to November. Ballots have been pouring in over the last 24 hours, adding to the record number of votes surpassed yesterday. As of this morning, 341,400 ballots had been received at county election offices, almost 50,000 more than the old record for a primary set in 2016. Now, the primary is Montana's first all-male statewide election, which was chosen by election officials to avoid putting voters or poll workers at risk for infection by the coronavirus. So far, 57% of ballots sent out to registered voters have been returned statewide. The county with the highest rate of return? Prairie County in eastern Montana at 77.5%. Bighorn County at 35% has the lowest return rate of any Montana county. Now, election officials started counting ballots this morning, and results will start to be released after voting ends at 8 p.m. tonight. Well, just like most of the state, we've got record numbers here in Yellowstone County as well. Right now, we head over to the Metro Park box office, where Q2's Mitch Laggy is standing by live with the latest numbers and voter information. Mitch.
Well, thanks so much, Jeanelle. Metro Park is actually one of 4 locations that Yellowstone County voters can drop off their ballots to be counted. And now, of course, this year's primary election, as you mentioned, did have to be changed to an all-male voting format. This was to protect election staff and voters from COVID-19 spread. Now, of the 600,000 Montana registered voters, about 57% had turned in their ballots at our first check this morning. That's a record high turnout for Montana. As Jeanelle mentioned, the old record set 4 years ago was topped by nearly 50,000 votes. Now in Yellowstone County, about 61% of the county's registered voters have dropped off their ballots by 4 p.m. Now, because of the nature of this all-male election, accurate results should be available right at 8 p.m. Elections offices in larger Montana counties have been opening ballot envelopes since Thursday, so all that's left to do is run them through the counting machine. Now, if your ballot is still sitting on the kitchen table, there's time for you to get it counted. You just have to bring it down to one of the locations. Ballots can be dropped off here at the Metro, the Yellowstone County Elections Office, or a location in Laurel or Huntley. And there's also still time to get registered to vote. Visit the Yellowstone County Elections website for more information on how to do that. And Jeanelle, Brett Rutherford, the Yellowstone County Elections Administrator, told me the traffic is going to be pretty heavy here around the Metro Park area over the course of the evening. So if you have to drive by, please exercise some patience. That about wraps it up here from Metro Park. Jeanelle, back to you.
All right, thanks, Mitch. We'll try to check back with you at the end of the show. And also those locations, Laurel High School in Laurel and Yellowstone Valley Electric in Huntley. And as Mitch just said, voting and registering to vote continues tonight at county election offices all across Montana. As we get closer to that 8 p.m. deadline, MTN Chief Political Reporter Mike Dennison shows us what's at stake.
The primary election apparently is drawing plenty of interest from voters, and it should, with many high-profile races. Montana voters will choose nominees for our next governor, deciding a 3-way race among Republicans Tim Fox, Greg Gianforte, and Al Olszewski, and a spirited matchup between Democrats Mike Cooney and Whitney Williams. Montana's U.S. House seat also is open, and there's a 6-person race for the Republican nomination, and a 2-person battle for the Democratic choice between Kathleen Williams and Tom Winter. Attorney General has hotly contested races for both the Democratic and Republican nominations, and there are battles for the Republican nominee for Secretary of State and again on both sides for the state auditor. We also have scores of contested primaries for legislative seats as well, all across Montana. And finally, we have 3 primaries in the state's biggest contest for U.S. Senate. But in at least 2 of them, there's little doubt who will win today: Republican Senator Steve Daines and his Democratic challenger, Governor Steve Bullock. The 3rd primary for the U.S. Senate is for the Green Party between 2 candidates. But the big showdown this fall, of course, will be Bullock versus Daines in a race that could decide party control of the Senate. Today's primary will set the stage for one of Montana's biggest general elections in recent memory. But as Montana State University political scientist David Parker tells us, the final outcomes this fall will be anything but predictable.
I just think the way in which the electorate might be thinking about issues is going to be very different. So and obviously we're going to see a very weird campaign. We're not going to have the normal going out and handshake and doing rallies, and we've already seen debates online. So it's hard, even given all that uncertainty, to even project what's going to happen in the fall. So it's always hard. It's probably even harder now.
One thing we do know, however, in these troubled times, Montanans are still exercising their right to vote in record numbers. At the Capitol, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
All right, thanks so much, Mike. And again, because of changes in election law, the vote counting might get done a bit earlier tonight. We'll have those initial results on air and online just after 8 p.m. Well, as part of our election night coverage tonight, MTN also has you covered on Facebook. And this year, something new and different. Q2's Jay Cohn joins us now to tell us all about it.
Well, thanks, Jeanelle. Well, as you know, election night is one of my favorite broadcast nights of the year. And tonight's no exception. In fact, we got something totally different for you, an MTN Election Night Conversation on Facebook. 2 half hours starting for you tonight at 8:30 to 9, right after the first returns are released. And then we're back from 9:30 to 10 to take you right up to our 10 o'clock newscasts. MTN Chief Political Reporter Mike Dennison joins me, along with Republican analyst Ashley Strong and Democratic insider Eric Stern. Consider this your invitation to join us for the conversation tonight, an MTN Election Night Conversation on all 5 of the MTN Facebook pages statewide. All total, we have some 350,000 Facebook fans. I'm looking forward to it. Hope you can join us. It all starts tonight at 8:30. Jeanelle, have a great election night. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Jay. We know you will have a great election night. Now we'll look for you tonight on Facebook. And here's a look at all of the station Facebook sites around the state. Well, KTVQ is your election headquarters tonight. We'll have coverage throughout the evening on air and online at KTVQ.com. We'll bring you your first results again just after 8 o'clock tonight here on Q2. And the Facebook Live Roundtable with Jay starts at 8:30 on the KTVQ Facebook page. Then join Russ Riesinger on CW Montana for the MTN 9 o'clock news, and Russ and I will both be back tonight at 10 with the latest returns and reaction. Well, for the 5th day in a row, protesters lined up outside the Missoula County Courthouse to peacefully protest. They're protesting the death of George Floyd while in police custody in Minneapolis last week. Well, today, some demonstrators even took to laying in the streets chanting, "No justice, no peace." One man, Jay Matson, told MTN he's been out there almost every day because he feels this is the way to make a change.
Being a black man, there's parts of me that I have to, like, for my own personal safety and the safety of my friends and, like I said, future generations. I feel like it's my responsibility to be here.
Matson says he wants to be able to tell his future children he tried to make a difference. Well, ahead on tonight's 5:30 news, our community came together to help homeless pets. An update tonight about leashes and adoptions. And in sports, Red Lodge cancels its Home of Champions rodeo. Scott fills us in.
And coming up in weather, the snow continues to melt in the mountains and is pouring into our area rivers. And in some cases, it's starting to flood in our region. We'll bring you an update coming up in a few minutes and plus give you the week's forecast also.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 5:30 news on Q2, Montana's news leader.